The golden rule, the sentiment of the golden rule exists in literally every major religion, every positive school of thought on the planet. The words are a little different, the label is a little different, but you find that sentiment that human beings should do good for other human beings just all across the globe. You find that not only in Christianity, but you find it in Buddhism, you find it in Islam, you find it in Judaism, you find it in Hinduism. It's at the core of humanistic atheism, for that matter. And what I found particularly interesting about this is that you'll notice that not one of these versions from any of these traditions anywhere in the world has a little asterisk next to the words with a footnote at the bottom of the page that says, does not apply Monday through Friday between the hours of 9 to 5 or in any situation where a paycheck is involved. But yet, when we go to work, and again, I'm telling you this from 20 years of wandering around with all these companies, the golden rule does not seem to be the rule at work. It seems to be the exception to the rule. And the exception is with the people that I've come to call the extreme leaders, the really extraordinary leaders. They get this. For them, it is the rule. And not only do they get this, but they get this on steroids. The greatest leaders make others greater than themselves. And what I find really endlessly interesting about this is that it's the context of work that makes this a provocative idea. Teachers get this. And I'll give you some evidence to this effect as we go along. You know, what greater accomplishment is there for a teacher, an 8th grade teacher, let's say, than to see one of their kids that they taught math to in 8th grade grow up to win the Nobel Prize someday? They're still in 8th grade teaching kids, but they can look up and say, look what I helped do. Teachers get this. I mean, even decent teachers get this. You don't have to be a great teacher to get this. A decent teacher gets this. Coaches get this, right? There's no greater victory for a high school football coach than to see one of their kids grow up to play in the NFL, grow up to become Joe Montana someday. And they're still coaching high school or soccer or whatever it is. Then we go to work and somehow the rules change. Somehow, all of a sudden, this becomes a zero-sum game. And somehow, my success, we've come to believe, is predicated in some way, shape, or form on your not being as successful as I am. Or maybe even on your failure. That's the way it's going to raise me up. And there are so many of us that are conditioned to believe that, and it's just a crock. And the evidence of that, of course, is the people, I mean, I'm sure you've all known them, right? The people who earn this reputation, they leave this legacy of somebody who's created superstar after superstar. It's an amazing thing to see, and I will admit to you that it is still, unfortunately, very, very rare. Can you find somebody that you work with that you can invest yourself in? Share what you've learned, share your knowledge, give your coaching, give your advice, give your perspective in order to raise that person up above yourself. Can you find somebody that you can focus on to make greater than yourself? One person, just one person, that's all I asked him. Take on one person as your, let's call it, for the sake of discussion, GTY project, and then see what that does for your own frame of mind. Is it possible that you can take on somebody as your GTY project and have the thing just blow up in your face? Is it possible that you can invest yourself in another person and only to see them use that situation, use the opportunities against you? Is it possible they can manipulate the situation, stab you in the back, and move on? Is that possible? Of course it's possible. That doesn't mean the idea is flawed. It just means you made a bonehead decision as to who your GTY project is. So give this the thought that it deserves.